Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have Karen with us, a
Hi,
very,
everyone.
very recent Bloom graduate. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Aggie. Lovely to be here.
So, Karen will tell us a little bit about her thyroid story and Bloom journey. So, maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit more about your thyroid story and why you are looking for help.
Yes. So I had a diagnosis of subclinical hypothyroidism about 3 to 4 years ago now. Um, I had seen the GP and my TSH was at about 9 point something or other. And they recommended I go on to levothyroxine. Um, I was a bit hesitant to do so, but I felt absolutely awful. I
Mm.
was chronically exhausted, and the GP was just saying, that's your only option. This will make you feel better. So I thought, right, that's it, I'll go for it. So they put me on 50 milligrams of levothyroxine. I didn't tolerate that very well at all. That got dropped down to 25 milligrams. That was more tolerated. Um, but I didn't feel better. I
Mm.
felt initially a tiny bit better. Um, but over the course of time, over the sort of 1, 2 years, I kept going back to the GP saying, I still feel really exhausted. They referred me to an endocrinologist. The endocrinologist said, actually, what you have is Hashimoto's. He
Okay, so they
explained.
actually recognized it, which is good.
Yes,
That's good.
yes, indeed. He explained it was an autoimmune condition. He said my antibodies were like off the chart, like over 1,000 something or other. But he kind of reiterated the same as the GP. You have to stay on the medication. That is the only thing that works. This is a lifetime condition. You will not get better from it. Um, you are 25% more likely to get another autoimmune condition on top of that. Um,
They actually use that number.
yes, yes.
Sorry.
He said it was the most depressing meeting ever. I was concerned about my bone health. He said, yes, there's a possibility that my bones could, um, what's the word I'm looking for? The bone density could
Mhm.
be reduced because of the medication. Um, to do a bit of strength training, that might help. I just came out of the meeting and I just felt seriously depressed. And so from there, I just felt like, okay, this is what Western medicine, if you like, is telling me.
Has
Uh,
to offer, not much for hypothyroidism,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And it was just depressing. And I was already feeling absolutely chronically exhausted. And I just thought, no, this can't be my story. I don't want it to be my story. So I then spent a lot of time
Mhm.
researching, reading, joining support groups,
Yeah.
and trying to find something that would work.
Mhm.
I'm a great believer. I have a quite a scientific background because I did my degree in a Bachelor of Science, so I am quite scientific, but I'm also quite holistic, and
Mhm.
I always felt like I sat somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, same here. Same here. Mhm.
Yes. And I think that's why I resonated towards you, Aggie, because I was just being fed more and more information in these support groups that were, again, just reiterating, you're not going to get better, or they're just struggles. It was
Yeah.
struggles, it was negativity. And in the end, I just thought, I don't know if this isn't helping me either, because I'm just being fed more and more negativity. And I want to have a positive mindset and set a foundation for positive healing going forward. And that's kind of the journey that I sort of went on.
And did you try any of the diets or any of the supplements or any of
I
the...
had I had a look at the autoimmune protocol
Mhm.
diet, and I was listening to everybody's stories on that, and I just thought this is just too extreme.
Yes.
It was such an elimination diet. I couldn't really understand the point of it.
Mm.
Even when I listened to people's stories that had completed the diet, they still didn't seem better from
But
it.
yeah, yeah, which is such a great point. I think it just moves the needle a little bit because obviously
Yes,
you remove all the possible irritants, right? But that's not the way to heal. And
no,
I've done this because, all those years ago, we really didn't have any better ideas. I was also trying all those things, and AIP was one of the most exhausting things I've ever done. I did it for 3 months, and I was so depleted towards the end, not only my nervous system, but my whole body. I caught this really bad virus towards the end, and I couldn't shift it because my body was just depleted of all the kind of nutrients and energy. Yeah, it is another plaster in
yeah.
my eyes, and not
I
something
found it, I just thought it was too extreme for
good
me.
that you.
I did look at sort of paleo diet a bit.
Yeah.
I love my food. So I didn't want to do anything too extreme with my food. But one thing I did do later on in my thyroid journey is cut out the gluten, and
Mhm,
I've
mhm.
stayed with that. Not to say that I wouldn't maybe try and reintroduce that at some point in the future, but for now, I've kind of cut that out completely, um, and have stuck with that.
Yeah.
But apart from that, no. I didn't really try anything too extreme. I kept going back to the GP and saying I'm not feeling better and hoping that they
They
would,
will come up with some.
yeah, which
Yeah.
of course they didn't.
Okay, so tell me how did you find me? Like, well, how did that come about? Was it on?
Okay.
I remember, was it not on Band's website or something like this?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I had a friend who she had tapped into an optimum nutritionist
Uh-huh.
not far from where we lived. And I looked into the work that she was doing, but it wasn't specifically related to the thyroid. So I was
Yeah.
umming and ahhing. But I then also stumbled across yourself,
Mhm.
and I started following you on Instagram,
Mhm.
and everything just resonated. I just thought, listening to your journey and, you know, work and the combination of it all, I just thought, I think I found my person. Like a dating site.
Oh,
I
that's
found my person. But I wasn't entirely sure, but it was all sort of resonating and it felt much more positive and much more uplifting. And then I think we arranged a call,
yeah, yeah.
and I think initially I was a little bit sort of maybe I'll be better with just working one on one with you because I was a bit
Yeah, and a lot
introverted.
of people have because they don't like know, which is obviously obvious, right? You've not experienced anything else, so the one-to-one seems like the ultimate solution. But actually, in my humble opinion, I
Yeah,
think for most people, for most people with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, Bloom is actually a better option. So
I
so
think
tell
it
us
is.
how was that transition? Because you kind of went
Yeah.
in, I want one-to-one, and then
Yeah,
that's something.
I think it was a fantastic decision, and I think I was guided by you and your experience of working with many women on that. Because I think you were sort of just gently saying, well, don't dismiss working in Bloom and working with lots of ladies because of how supportive that environment is. And I sort of thought, okay, I'll give it a go, reluctantly. Um, but I did, and I was so glad I did because it is such a supportive environment, and quite often you are. you have these sort of questions that come up in your mind, and
Mhm.
then another lady has posted it, and then you might get into your own little thread about it. But everything comes from that foundation of positivity, I think. I
Yeah.
think not to say that not to say that we it's not toxic positivity. We're
No,
not just
no, no,
being
no.
positive
Yeah.
for the sake of being positive.
Mhm.
It's just a very nurturing environment to be in. And I think we are all on the similar journeys, and within that journey is that friendship and supportiveness. I found it super beneficial.
Yeah, and it's
Absolutely
still
beneficial.
very personalized and bespoke. I think it was another lady,
Yeah.
Amanda, I think, said in her review, she said something about it feeling fully bespoke to her, which is what I really wanted to achieve. I wanted for it to be a journey that you'll follow. So obviously there are those structured modules and phases, and there is a lot of training. So everyone is essentially on the same journey,
Yeah.
but there are still tweaks and personalizations. So you still
Absolutely.
have that.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's the kind of I'm sort of thinking of the flower now because of bloom, but there's this like big sort of petals and flowers of all of us coming together. But within that, in the center, you also direct the course. So we do have those one-on-one times
Mhm.
in our hot seats. Where everything is specific to yourself and what you're going through at that moment in time. So it's just the perfect combination, I think.
Yeah, for anyone listening who doesn't know, hot seats are like mini one-to-one coaching calls where we there in a group of five usually, and everyone unmutes themselves and have a one-to-one chat with me. We go through any questions and troubleshoot and celebrate. And I think it's amazing because everyone else listens, right? And you kind of sit there and you listen to other women, and it's just there's such another like opportunity to connect, to get validated, but also learn from others. So like yeah, my favorite part of Bloom, I think was.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so in terms of like your first impressions, what were they like? So you joined and what happened?
So when I initially joined, you get introduced to the team. You get a sort of run through of the Heartbeat app and how it works and the practice better. That's all pretty simple to understand. Though if there is any problems, you can just direct message, and that will get sorted really
Yeah.
quickly. Also, you get buddied up if you would like to with,
Yeah, which is another nice feature that you can have that
yes,
like a person to
yeah,
go
which
through this process with.
that's it, which I also really enjoyed. And then you start to receive sort of workshops or trainings. And I found it just great from the start because it's like this just opportunity to learn and to grow
Mhm. Yeah.
and to getting more and more information, but in a way that is so well paced that you can assimilate it.
Yeah.
It's not overwhelming, and you can take it at your own pace too. You don't have to, just because a workshop kind of drops in, you don't have to
You don't
do it
have to.
there and
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can come back to it. You can choose a time in the day when works for you. Sometimes it's like a 5 minute somatic practice.
Mhm.
Other times it's an hour's training. So
Yeah.
you can put it in your diary. You can adjust your times to whatever you want to do. So first impressions was just like, wow. It's like somebody's done, well, somebody's done the research for you, assimilated all this learning into one sort of pot. So I don't have to do it.
And go and search more. So I think this is one of the
Exactly.
biggest things with Bloom, and what I wanted to achieve is this go-to path, the program that you follow, the journey you follow, so you can almost block out everything else. Because one of the biggest issues for me when I was first diagnosed, and I hear it all the time from clients, is that they keep being bombarded with all this conflicting stuff. There is new things popping up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You read something and then you just don't know what to do. And I
Yes.
think Bloom gives you this peace of mind that you can finally allow yourself to be guided. All the distractions
It's a
out.
quagmire of stuff.
Mm,
The internet is great, but it's so much stuff
yeah,
that you're wading through trying to, and you're trying to do all of that whilst not feeling very good in
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
because you've got symptoms, so it's even more exhausting to try to. So for somebody to have just created this
Mm.
is just so refreshing because you just think, right, okay, now I can take a breath, I can sit back and I can just assimilate the information.
Absolutely. So, talking about symptoms, tell me what's been the first improvements that you noticed? What sort of changes in symptoms and how you feeling on maybe also emotional level? What were the first signs of?
So for me, my biggest symptom was chronic exhaustion. Um, Chronic exhaustion took such a, everything in my life became insular.
Mm,
So my biggest symptom change or improvement was that over a pretty short period of time, um, my energy levels have just gone skyrocketed. And they have consistently now stayed. Um, I'm just energized. Every single day, I'm energized. And of course, that has had a positive impact on me mentally
yeah.
and emotionally and spiritually and, all of that kind of stuff. Because when I was chronically exhausted, I could barely, all I could do was work.
Mm,
That was
mm,
it. I
mm.
couldn't see my friends. I didn't have the energy for my family very much. Um, and and you need that connection. You need to be living life. I wanted to live my life. So that is my biggest game changer from joining Bloom is the consistent energy that I have now got. I have lost a bit of weight. I didn't need to lose a bit of weight, but I have lost some weight. Um, my hair's stopped falling out. That's another one.
Yeah.
I did suffer a bit with a bloated tummy. I don't have that anymore.
Oh, good, good.
Um, but yeah, I think overall it's my energy. That's my biggest one.
Because it changes everything, right? Like it just it's the symptom that pretty much everyone experiences, and I always say it's the one that's quickest to improve for most people, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
But it's the one that changes everything because once you have the energy, then you can do more things. You can for yourself, like you said, not just to tick more boxes, but you can see people, do your hobbies, do exercise, and you feel like you have life, not you're not just surviving and you're obviously doing what you have to do, like work, but just
Yeah.
living a full life. So that's amazing. And tell us in terms of the Bloom journey, if you were to look at the last is it 4 months? 4 months it's been, I think now. Most enjoyable parts. What was like the what you
The
like?
most enjoyable for me is definitely all the somatic practices. I took to that like a duck to water. So like because you can do bite-sized little chunks.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not like you have to allocate, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours every single
Mhm.
day into your life. I do the physiological sigh, the
Mhm.
bouncing, the tapping. I can do that first thing in the morning
Yeah, and
and
it's like
take
5 minutes, no, not even.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
I love sort of doing the circadian rhythm stuff. So
Mm.
I like going out looking at the sunrise. I go for a sunset walk. I find that really like a nice sort of beginning and end
Yeah,
to
yeah.
my day or starting to calm down at the end of the day. Um, and of course, there's things like the interoception and the exteroception work, the meditations, love all of that. And I also do incorporate like lymphatic drainage and
Mhm.
castor oil packs, but not perhaps not every single day. I journal and read every single day, but I think, yeah, the somatic practices for me were because I it just encourages you to
Mhm.
take those times to do your self-care
Mhm.
and regulate your nervous system.
Exactly, and that nervous system element is so key. Like I'm just about to run a workshop on inflammation, and one of the key messages in that workshop is going to be that the nervous system is the part that's been always ignored. We're so focused on the AIP diet to extinguish the inflammation, but it's the nervous system that's like the gatekeeper of it. Because if we are in a fight or flight, if we're constantly running, and especially if we run down because we're chronically ill, the nervous system is almost running this inflammation to protect us. So, in order to see antibodies going down, in order to see results improving and us feeling better, like the nervous system work is the foundation. Of course, we still work with diet, right, and all of this, and the lymphatics and the gut, but if we don't build that nervous system foundation, like none of it will really
Yeah.
stick. And you have seen some reduction in antibodies as well.
Yes. Yeah. Huge reduction, really. Like I said, my antibodies were over 1,000. In fact, he didn't give me a figure, but it was over 1,000. And I think I'm down to 300 and something at the moment.
Yeah,
So, and
amazing.
that's in quite, a very short period of time. So, yeah, that's huge, the reduction. And you're right, going back to that kind of nervous system thing, because I think I've had a lot of trauma and stress in my life, so I think I was carrying, or that kind of sort of fight or flight has just been
In the body.
heightened the whole time. So now to just be at peace with myself and my body is, yeah, it's chef's kiss.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so tell us now, you've talked about the good parts. What was challenging from the beginning? Maybe about the decision. We talked a little bit about the decision, but what was difficult?
Yeah, I think initially the challenge is, you know, do you want to do you want to invest financially? It wasn't a decision that had just suddenly sprung up out of thin air. I had done lots and lots of research. I had looked at different sort of options. I'd tried to go down the sort of conventional
Yeah, yes.
medicine route, if you like. Um, but I think it was definitely the right decision for me, financially, and actually it's been manageable, which is wonderful. And the results speak for themselves. So, it was definitely a good investment in my health. I also think, it was difficult initially because I think you sort of think, am I going to have the time to do it all? Like,
Yeah,
or, if I'm feeling really tired, am I going to have the energy to do it
yeah.
all? And I think, yeah, I think that was the genuine sort of concern, really, that
Mm,
would I feel overwhelmed? Would it be too much information
yeah.
for me? Would I then think, oh no, I've wasted my money, kind of thing, because I can't put
Actually,
the time in?
oh, good.
Yeah, and that fear was actually quite quickly subsided, because I realized, like I said earlier, you can just do 5-minute bite-sized chunks. You can pace it at your own pace. You can come back to things at other times. If you're having a really stressful week for whatever reason, or you're ill, or whatever happens, doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
just take a breath, you do what you can, or you come back to it later. And that feeling, goes throughout the whole of the course.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I actively
take a
encourage
breath.
people to take breaks, and we've got
Yeah,
integration weeks, and And I keep always saying, like, everyone is on their own journey. Of course, we've got this timeline within Bloom, but there are options to continue also at a way lower investment. So there isn't any rush to go through it. Yes, if everything pans out perfectly and you follow everything to a T, fantastic. But if you take a little bit of time out, come back, that is also okay. And everything
Yeah,
is dripped, right? So it's not that we dump all of the information at you, but everything is very nicely staged. So you never feel like,
it
oh my
is.
God, I have to do it all.
Yeah, it is. And there was also, there was also breaks within the program
Mm.
too.
Yeah. Yes.
You could just think, okay, well, so we've done one sort of phase, and then we might have like, a few days off or whatever, or we could go back and revisit stuff. So it's really, really well paced in that sense. So yes, but it was a concern. It was a
Mm.
genuine sort
Mm.
of concern initially.
Yeah, and of course it would be because if someone is struggling, if you're struggling with energy levels and fatigue, and suddenly you have to embark on this journey, it can feel almost impossible.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I speak to this quite often because people have concerns about small children, thyroid fatigue, but also like work-related issues. And
Yeah.
I think by now, like we've had over 120 women through Bloom, I think at this point. And I think I've seen it all in terms of people with weird jobs, like jet setting around the world, having tiny little children in large quantity, or just having very low energy levels. Like think about Helen from this cohort, people struggling with actual chronic fatigue. And honestly, if you make this a priority, you don't have to like give up on your life, but if you make it a priority, you can do it, and you'll see
Yeah.
results.
And you want to make it a priority
Mhm. Yeah.
because actually, as soon as you start, it's exciting.
Mhm.
It's really exciting because you start to learn new stuff. You get and you're investing in your health.
Mm,
So it's exciting.
yeah.
It's like, you want to do it. And then when you see the consistency, so
Mm.
you see that these little somatic practices, or the way that for me, a big game changer was eating eating a savory breakfast.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
It
for a
was
lot
a
of people.
massive, massive
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
changer for me. And once you start to see those small changes and they become embedded,
Hmm. Hmm.
you're just like a new person. So you're
Yeah.
a new person, you're starting again, and you can leave all this sort of negativity and you're going to just feel dreadful for the rest of your life behind.
Mm.
It's no longer relevant. You've started on a new journey, and you're flourishing, and that's how you should feel in life.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So tell us how you're doing now. How are you feeling today? What are the plans for the future? You're continuing in TRC with us on the resilience journey. But yes, tell us how you
Yeah, so I'm just, like I say, I'm just very positive. I feel very happy. I'm consistently energized. I Life has opened up,
doing.
so I um, I have a better relationship with. I've got a teenage son.
Hmm.
I have a better relationship with him. Again, through the nervous system work, just um, learning about taking pause and taking some space
Hmm.
has
Hmm.
really helped me um, with a very strong-willed teenager.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yes. So I'm just happy in life. I'm just really happy in life. I've got my energy. I've got a healthy diet. Not that it's perfect all the time. Of course, it's not. I love my dark chocolate.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't have to be, right? Plus,
No.
dark chocolate is very much a part of a perfect diet, if you ask me.
Yes.
You know.
And I like what you say, progress over perfection. So, and I do. I'm gentler on myself. I'm kinder to myself. I treat myself how I would treat my best friend. And I put myself in the mix now. So there's lots of um, I probably was a giver,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was
pushing
probably,
everyone.
as a lot of women are,
Mm.
um, probably had myself at the bottom of the list. I'm not at the bottom of the list anymore. I make sure that I fill my own cup first, and then I give to others. And it's just the whole thing is completely life changing, and I'm just so grateful to have been part of it, and to be able to continue to be part of it is just phenomenal.
Oh, you honestly, it's been such a pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you as a part of this Bloom cohort, and you've been such a like a little ray of sunshine,
Uh,
and always
yeah,
positive, always taking things on board, always keen to make changes, and that is really important because that kind of attitude, that excitement that you mentioned, that attitude of, oh my God, anything can happen. Life can change.
yes,
It doesn't have to be what
yeah.
was. It's just amazing, and you are, yeah, you're just an inspiration for everyone. And thank you so much for agreeing to do this and talk to me today. Before we wrap up, what would you say to someone who's watching this and thinking, I don't know I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if it's gonna work out. I just, thinking I might do it, but I don't know if it's gonna be a good decision. What would you tell them?
I think I would just say don't hesitate. I think you just need to go for it.
Mm.
Do your research. But I think, it's always the risks that we don't take that we regret, isn't it? Let's face it. We look back and go, oh, what if I had taken that? Where would I be? It's not the ones that we take.
Yeah.
Quite often, when we take them, we're like, I'm so glad I did that. I felt the fear and I took it anyway.
Hmm.
Just jump, take the jump, because you won't regret it. You will get something from this course, and you will start on a healing journey. And that's priceless. It's
Hmm.
priceless.
Yeah.
So just don't hesitate.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
That's
Karen.
okay.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your time. And yeah, I shall see you in TRC in
Lovely. I'll see in
next week.
Encore. I'll see you soon.
And in encore, yes, of course,
Yeah.
we continue. All righty, love. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, Aggie. Take care.